For Joan Jonas, art isn't so much work as it's a world.
It was a beautiful windy sunny day. I drove out toward the glacier.
Someone like Joan, one only has to experience it, and you get immersed in it.
Jonas has been a pioneer in performance art, and ever since she acquired her first video camera in 1970, much of it has been committed to the screen.
Good morning.
She came up during a time when many artists in New York's downtown scene were sort of undertaking a range of different experimental practices that went outside of the studio and into the landscape, working with the body, working in dance, working in ephemeral forms that she was very much part of.
As documented by a 30-year retrospective at MIT's List Visual Arts Center, Jonas has always pushed forward, says curator Henriette Huldish.
You can see both a real arch and a real development, but also an incredible consistency of imagery and motifs throughout her work.
Those have made her, including at age 78, consistently contemporary. And the reason why Paul Ha, the director of the List Center, thought Jonas was a natural to serve as the U.S. representative to this year's Venice Biennale, the premier contemporary art fair in the world.
How much coaxing did it take to get her on board for this?
She actually didn't want to do it. She didn't want me to submit.
Modest to a fault, Jonas was chosen, and a collection of new work is now on view at the U.S. Pavilion.
If you're fortunate enough to experience her performances, you see how contemporary she is. And by using just modest means of video projection, sound, musicians joining her.
Jonas's colleagues point out her pieces are in no way autobiographical, but they are very much inspired by place, including her annual sojourns to Nova Scotia.
She draws a lot of source of inspiration from nature. There's sort of a sense of mystery, animals and sort of animal spirits or something that run throughout the work. You see dogs repeatedly. She is incredibly inspired by literature, myth, fairy tales, but other kinds of fictional storytelling as well.
I dreamt I was standing outside near a stream.
Volcano Saga, featuring a young Tilda Swinton, is Jonas's interpretation of an Icelandic myth.
One of the things that she was particularly interested in is that this saga features a female protagonist, which is very, very rare if you look at sort of myth and legends of the world. And her interaction with the seer that prophesies that she's going to have 4 marriages.
You can't remember anything, can you?
Double Lunar Dogs unleashes 2 recurring Jonas themes, memory and humor.
That is based on a Robert Heinlein story, a science fiction story about the inhabitants of a spaceship that have been lost in space for generations and have forgotten the sense of their mission or where they came from.
Sometimes it's lonely at the Vanguard. Jonas spent most of her career without major museum recognition, until now, when the world is watching and the response has been rapturous. Jared Bowen, WGBH News.